both of those speeches. Thank you guys for putting the pressure on me. I really did not prepare a speech. I thought we were going to give it a couple of minutes just to say thank you. So I'll start with the thank yous. Thank you to Sidem for recognizing the work that we do, and thank you for the CAPCO Awards. Growing up, my least favorite thing to hear in the world was, "It's good enough for the Philippines." It's something that we say colloquially all the time. Each time something funny happens, or when you're stuck in traffic or a mistake happens, we all tend to say, "Oh, welcome to the Philippines." And it kind of becomes a joke that these are things that happen in our country and then you kind of just have to accept it. I grew up being taught not to accept things that aren't at your standard or don't match the standard at which you believe they can be. My dad was a fully self-made man, 16-year-old in the Navy, didn't have a dime to his name, and built an amazing business in this country, which he fell in love with my mom also too. That's where we were born. And so I always had that within me to kind of fight against what I think is wrong and what I think shouldn't be. So I don't think Filipino food is just good enough for the Philippines. We have, hundreds of years of history. Lots of that history was a colonized past. In all those years, you would think that our culture would be completely erased, and that's just not the case. If you look specifically into Filipino food, you go through 350 years of Spanish colonization. You go to 70 years of British colonization. American colonization, years of trade with different nations. You would think that our food culture would be completely erased. And a lot of people think that our food was, we were told not to eat certain things by the Spanish or by the Americans and all that, but that's just not the truth. Filipino people tend to eat and like the things that we like to eat. We take something from your culture, like carbonara, we put cream and butter in it. We take your spaghetti and we put a ton of condensed milk and evaporated milk in it. And that just shows how our culture says, sure, we will take what we like from your culture, but we will add our own touch to it. And when I understood that Filipino food for me was the gateway to understanding my own identity, but also the history of the country. We unfortunately don't have much written history about the Philippines in the pre-colonial eras. A lot of the history that we do have was written by Spanish people, by foreign people, so through their perspective and what they're relaying to the king at the time. And so Filipino food and Filipino culture in the larger picture has to be insinuated and understood through the culture that we have today, right? And I think food is the best way to do that, because through food you can understand our ancient technology. Through food you can understand the local ingredients that we used to have, and through food you can really, almost talk to your ancestors in terms of what their life looked like and what the Philippines looked like before it was even called the Philippines. I'm a huge fan of looking backwards to be able to take leaps forward. And one of my biggest frustrations with Future nowadays, we spend maybe 70% of the year unfunded, so fully funded by ourselves, creating documentaries and stories all around the Philippines, and we've been to probably 60 plus provinces already, covering different stories, different artisans, different farmers. And the saddest thing that we see a lot of the time is ingredients disappearing, know-how disappearing, skills being forgotten, recipes, which I think is crazy, recipes not being passed down because of a lack of a second generation, or because a dish is just too hard to make and too laborious to make. And so our mission as a company is to make sure that these things are communicated and these things stay in people's culture, and that people learn how to appreciate that, but not only appreciate it, but to talk about it. We are a country that is separated by seas. One of our biggest issues is logistics, because of just how our geography is. And the reason why we do so many videos and documentaries is because we find it's the best tool to communicate these things and for these things not to be lost. We kind of see it just like as a visual encyclopedia of the food that we encounter and then the stories that we can tell on people's behalf. And that's why I'm a huge fan of events like today,